Bada boom. Go ahead.
Okay, so this
What
is
chapter?
chapter. This is chapter. You picked chapter 10.
This is out of her
10.
book, y'all.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is chapter 10. It's time to pray. This is some of this is let me leave you with this. I cannot promise God will answer every prayer you bring before him the way you desire him to. I will be giving you false hope. Some things we experience will leave us wondering why God allowed them to happen the way they did, Lord Jesus. And some things we experience might cut us so deep and make us feel like someone has knocked the life out of us. We will all experience some form of trauma, hurt, disappointment, struggle, loss, or hardship. These things will certainly make us feel like God has forgotten, rejected, or abandoned us. That is the truth.
Thanks.
So while I cannot promise you a life free of pain, I can promise you that you are important to God and he cares about and loves you. How can I say this? Because his word says so. And as much as the traumas of my life cause me to struggle to believe he loves me, I believe his word. I believe he exists, and I believe he is who he says he is. Why? Because I have seen his goodness in my life and in the lives of others.
I think you should read the other part too.
And so the look again.
Yeah.
So my son wanted me to read some apart from this chapter. So when you feel abandoned by God, I want to encourage you to look again. When those prayers are seemingly not answered, look again. When you feel like nothing is happening, look again. When you feel frustrated, look again, my friend. Just as a servant of Elijah who looked 7 times for rain, we must keep looking for God to move in our lives. The servant didn't see anything those 6 times he looked, but that 7th time he experienced what he had been going back and forth to see.
You can start right there.
And I'm going to stop. You want me to stop?
I want you to stop. Because you already said a mouthful. But what God brought to me was a conversation I had when I was in school. It was good. When I was in school, and I was talking to one of my classmates about the Lord and stuff. Somehow God just used me to bring up these conversations. And he was talking about how he didn't believe in God, right? And he was like, I'm asking his background, and he come from like Christianity or whatever. And I was like, why not believe in God, right? And he was like, I just don't. And I started talking about the existence of God, like, okay, like we just exist, like how do you explain nature and stuff like that? And he was like, well, I don't know, like I guess that would be God. And I'm like, God, if God is God, then he would have to be outside of time. God can't be in time because he won't be God, right? He won't be eternal. And then he changed his mind quick. He was like, okay, well, yeah, I believe in God. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that was one step. And then he said, well, why pray? And I was like, why not? I said, we're calling on the divine and asking him to intervene in things that we don't have control over because he has all the power, right? And I said, just ask. Like, just ask. Go pray and ask him to reveal whatever it is you want to be revealed, right? But this what got me, though. And this explained why he was the way he was. He said, you know what, bro? He thought about it. He said, I did ask God for something,
Mm.
and He really answered my prayer, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Mm.
It wasn't the result I wanted.
Mm.
Cause I think it was his nephew or something was missing,
Mm.
and he ended up they found him dead.
Mm.
But he asked God to find his nephew,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, "Yeah, we found him, but he wasn't alive." And he said that messed him up, right? And it's like that. Those type of scenarios, people will see God, but don't even realize it was Him the whole time, right? That answered the prayer, because they in the moment. And we always talk about this, like perceiving God when He's speaking, when He's trying to show you things, tell you things, and He missed them up.
Yeah, but I think that, and I mean, you already know that's why Mom wrote the book, because pain, when you in pain, that type of pain, it's hard to hear. It's hard to even want to draw close to God in painful situations. And I think a lot of times that when we in the Christian community, believers, it's about faith, and just because I'm having a hard moment does not mean that there is no faith. The fact that I went to God, that's the faith there. You know what I'm saying? And didn't draw away from Him, instead of leaned into Him, And then there are those moments when you feel like you don't want to say anything to God, but the Spirit of God in you, it will quicken you and say, well, now you found saying, where am I gonna go? Like Peter said.
What chapter was just reading?
10.
Okay.
Like Peter said, where am I gonna go? You got the keys to eternal life, and so.
But that's revelation.
Yeah, it comes with, and that's why we have to be continued. That's why I continue to throw myself on the altar daily. God cleanse me. And one of the scriptures I love praying over us, myself, and pray over my children, or is Jude, when it talks about to Him who's able to keep you from falling. I'm always asking God, Lord, keep me from falling and present me faultless before you, because it's easy. I mean, I done been through enough in life. The Lord, it just, with one being my body, what I'm saying? Y'all watch Mama go through this thing, struggle through this thing, hopeless, helpless, looking at it in the bed, can't do nothing. Nobody can do nothing. All we can do is call on Jesus and ask Him to move. Right. But in those moments like that, it makes you question, like, where is God? You're this loving, caring, good Father.
You're a miracle worker.
Right. Where is the miracle?
We wait on the miracle.
Right. But
and that's why, I'm sorry to cut you off, but the first sentence of this thing was powerful. Like, I cannot promise you God will answer every prayer you bring before Him the way you desire Him to.
Right.
Not the way He desired it to. Like Jesus said, Father, let it be your will, not my will. So.
But we gotta want the will of God, and sometimes we don't. That's like what when I was married to your dad, because this is my biological son, y'all. When I was married to his dad, I prayed for that marriage for a whole year, and God, He released me from it. It wasn't God's will, but I was willing to let go. And then a couple of years later, I met my husband, who I'm with now, y'all, Rob, who is my son's stepdad. But
my other dad.
Right. I don't like using step, but But yeah, you have to be willing to let go. And a lot of times, what God has for you is better than what you wanted.
Right.
Sometimes, a lot of the times, Now, in
And
that case,
I was about to say, and I want to say this. That might not even be the case in that moment, but God always
cause
cause
all things to work
yes,
together
for his good, right? So I'm not saying that little boy that should
Right,
happen.
right,
God
exactly.
forbid, right? But we live in a world of death,
All in the world.
so things are bound to happen. But I'm believing right now that God is doing something in a young man's life that I was talking to, and for me to bring God back into, his, I guess, memorabilia, but just really pressing on his heart with that conversation, he realized like, okay, this was God, and I pray it just come 360, like God continues to send more people and press on his heart about what God has done, regardless of how things may have looked. Because I don't, or we shouldn't follow God or submit to God based on what he could do for us.
Right. Like
I follow him because of
genie in a bottle.
who he is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if God don't bless me, well,
we
depending on what a blessing
right.
is, right?
We already
depending
blessed.
on what a blessing is, give me all these possessions, because that's blessings, right? Then I'm not gonna follow him, or he don't heal my body, I'm not gonna follow him, right? He don't bless me with a better job, I'm not gonna follow him. Whatever the case may be, your wants, your desires, right? That shouldn't even overcome your desire to be in relation with God.
And I can't tell you, why God allowed this to happen, but I have been, I've learned so much about the body and stuff like that, going through it and been able to help other people. Now, of course, I'm still believing in God to heal me. But if he does not heal me like I want to be healed.
I got a question. How many times you pray for healing?
I can't even count.
You still praying for healing?
I'm still praying
you crazy.
for healing. Right, huh? Something wrong with me, huh?
Why you still praying? Clearly he don't want to give it to you.
Look.
Clearly he don't want to give it to you.
We got to, like the lady with the unjust judge, right? The story. We got to persevere in prayer. And when I tell you, no, God did not answer that prayer in particular when it pertains to my body, but I've seen him answer many others. In fact, I got one sitting right here on the side of me, praying for this young man. My son got saved at 7 years old. Nobody told him to go up to the altar. He walked up to the altar on his own here. But I questioned his salvation because he was living contrary to the word, and
how many times you pray for me?
Lord, I can't count. I can't count the times that I have prayed for my son continually, just prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. He ain't go out there, he went out there killing nobody, doing nothing crazy like that, but sleeping, having sex outside of marriage, and and so just hanging, just wilding.
Man, don't be telling me that.
Just wilding,
all right, now.
And so, I prayed for my son. I prayed for him, and one day, I just handed him over to God, because a lot of times we say we give stuff to God, but we trying to control stuff, we not really trusting in God with it. And so one day I told God, I said, I give him to you. And I meant that.
You tell them what happened?
And God knew.
You can tell them what happened.
Go ahead, you tell them what happened.
You can tell them what happened. What you saw.
I had used my son's car one day, and I had pulled up at the store, and that was crazy because I was on the phone with my sister and one of my good friends. We were praying together, and I had pulled up in the parking lot at the store, and my son's little thing was open. He had some money in it, but when I went to close it completely, I saw marijuana. And I cried in that parking lot on the phone with my sister and my friend. And I just the Spirit of God rose up in me, and I said, Lord, I give them to you. I give them to you, Lord. And I meant it. And Because it was like, it's not this is out of my control, you know, God. I'm not sure what my son is searching for. You only know the answers to that, you know. I give this to you. I'm no longer gonna, you know, ask him bring this stuff to him anymore. I ain't gonna even mention it. And I left it. I gave it to God, and
now I'm here.
Next thing you know,
now we doing it live for some strange reason.
that was years ago, y'all. But
for some strange reason, now I'm here on this.
Now
live.
this boy is so on fire for Christ. But I'm saying all that to say, prayer. You on fire,
not
son.
Enough, not enough.
I don't think we ever feel like not enough. We always feel like we gotta get more Jesus, and we should always feel like that.
Thing, huh?
But you gotta persevere in prayer. You gotta persevere in prayer. You know, the enemy is not gonna allow us to have anything. He ain't gonna hand nothing over to you. You got to pray. You got to war.
I want to read this.
Go ahead.
Proverbs 4:4. Let your heart hold fast my words. Keep my commandments, and you will live.
Yeah, you will live for sure.
And that's talking about
life more abundant.
Yes, supernatural life.
So, you know, share why you came to the Lord. What made you come to the Lord? Let me tell you one of the things I prayed. Yeah, I want you to tell this.
All right, nah.
One of the things I prayed for my son was this. Let him find no rest, no peace, no comfort, no joy in any type of sin. And Lord, give him dreams and visions of heaven and hell.
Okay, to sum that up, I'm going to say this. That was a curse. But it's all right. It was for guys. Look, I don't know why she did that. What came over her, but I had a dream of hell. Okay, like literally, I had a dream of being in hell, and I wasn't living how I was supposed to be living. I was doing all kind of stuff, and I remember this. It's like almost like I woke up there, but I just so happened to appear there, and I could feel the heat, and it was like. You know how like a volcano is, like the black charcoal stuff, you know? It was that everywhere. And somehow I end up like in a castle. But it was like something you seen on a scary movie. Like a real castle like that with the spiral steps and everything. And something was with me. I don't know if he was giving me a tour, like this where you gonna be, keep it up, or I just seen him. And I can't really describe him like if he had a hood on or something. I can't really describe all that. But I just remember being there with something, and I didn't want to be with that very something, and being in the heat and going up the steps, and I'm like, it's crazy. It's like the place was like shifting. Like, I can't even really like put it in the words. Spiritual stuff is weird.
Share all of the dreams with me.
Yeah, but God bringing this back to me. But it was kind of like it was like shifting. Like the place was like shifting. Like you'll be somewhere like a certain floor or whatever. And all I can remember, I was conscious in that dream, vision of the night, whatever it was. I was like, I do not want to be here. I do not want to be here. I do not want to be here. I'm telling myself this, and I wake up. And I knew, I'm like, I'm about to be going to hell. Like I said it I'm like, I'm going to go to hell. If I stay where I'm at, what I'm doing, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing, or what God has called me really, and I heard the call, I'm like, I'm going to be going, I know I'm going to hell. Like I kind of, it's sad though, this was sad though, y'all. Like the enemy have you comfortable with living in your sin, because I was comfortable and I was my own God, because I'm telling myself about 40 years old I'm gonna settle down, then I'm gonna start getting my life right with Christ. When I get older I'm gonna get right with Christ. Like I dictate how long I live. So when that happened, I'm like, I gotta get it together. I'm telling my partner, I'm like, man, I'm not selling no more. We not I call Rob. I'm like, hey, we ain't doing nothing no more. I'm good. I already went to jail. Look, I'm good, bro. I'm good, man. Don't even. So that happened, and around the same time, I was having the, you know, for the old people on here. I know y'all old. The devil riding your back, whole thing. A lot of that was going on, and then either after I had that dream, that same night that happened to me, or I know it was around that same period while I'm laying down. But this time, you know how you'll be asleep and you can't see, whatever the case may be. It's like I was asleep and I'm in my room. I'm up. It's hard to explain. I'm sleeping, I'm up. Mm-hmm. I'm up and I'm asleep. I felt something in my room. And I'm, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And it left. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to get it together. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But they go to show you, like, I always knew who the Lord was. Mm-hmm. Like, anybody that's, I don't know, get it together, y'all. Don't, I'm going to say this, like, no, tomorrow's not promised. Mm-hmm. Any second could be your second, any day could be your day. You know.
Look at the camera and tell it to the people.
Any second could be your second, any day could be your day. And you grateful to even be here right now. Little do you know. Mm-hmm. I don't know where your life is, where you could be in your life. You know, everybody going through something. Mm-hmm. But it's a light at the end of the tunnel. Mm-hmm. And his name is Jesus.
Right. Right. And so just wanted to share that, you know, we talking about prayer and you know, perseverance and God answering prayer. But get the book, hold the book up, son.
Oh, promo.
Get the book, y'all. It's a blessing, I'm telling you. There are some prayers in here that are powerful at the end of the book. But just it's so encouraging. The book is so encouraging.
So, I mean, I'm assuming what I got from this was when it don't feel like prayer working,
it's working.
Keep praying.
Because it's working. It's working. Yeah. And it may not happen the way you want it to happen, but God is doing something, you know, and for certain, I can say this, I'm going to leave you with this. God is always working on us.
Thanks.
Always. You know, if we desire him to, he is always working on us. So when we are in those trials, God is developing us in those trials. You know, I'm not sure how much development he got to do with this illness, but you know, I got a big humor of it. What am I gonna do? Get up every morning and defeat? You know what I'm saying? So I have my days when I cry and it's hard, but at the end of the day, I got the victory. Yeah.
Endurance.
I got the victory, baby, and he is making me. So with that being said, y'all, we gonna cut it off because we kind of long here. So
right,
love y'all. Peace. Until next time, get the book, y'all. Amazon, or Barnes & Noble.